Hello everyone, this is Mr. McMillan and I'm here with an answer key video for the test review on the basic triangle properties and theorems. This is in preparation of the test. This will be posted on the day that the test is given. So please make sure that you are looking through this and paying attention to the ones that you got wrong from the PDF answer key. So here next to each triangle property, we want to write the name of the appropriate triangle that the property describes. A word bank is provided where we may use each word more than once. So we are going to be talking about equilateral, isosceles, scalene, acute, right, and obtuse. Okay. So the thing here is that we'll only ever use one of these in each blank. Okay. So number one, also known as equiangular triangles. Well, equilateral triangles are also known as equiangular triangles. That's because the equilateral triangles have 3 congruent sides and 3 congruent angles. So this is equilateral. Number 2, this type of triangle has no congruent angles. Well, the type of triangle that has no congruent angles is a scalene triangle. Number 3, this type of triangle has exactly one obtuse angle. So the obtuse angle has to be an obtuse triangle. We wouldn't know if it's isosceles or scalene, we just know it would be obtuse. Number 4, all 3 angles of the triangle are acute angles. Well, the only type of triangle other than equilateral that has all 3 of the angles being acute angles are acute triangles. Number 5, each angle measures 60 degrees. So an equilateral triangle has all congruent sides and all congruent angles. So the total degree sum in a triangle is 180. If you have 3 angles that have to be the same, you take 180 and divide by 3, and that gives you 60. So equilateral triangles are ones where each angle measures 60 degrees. Number 6, 2 sides of the triangle are congruent. So the only type of triangle that deals with 2 sides being congruent is the isosceles triangles. Number 7 has no congruent sides. That would be scalene. Number 8 has exactly 1 right angle. That would have to be a right triangle. Number 9, 2 angles of the triangle are congruent. So 2 angles are congruent. That would also be isosceles. Number 10, the longest side is called the hypotenuse and the other sides are legs. We talked about this several weeks ago when we talked about Pythagorean theorem in the distance formula notes. So this is a right triangle. This one we didn't talk about, number 11. Non-congruent side is called the base and the congruent sides are legs. That would be an isosceles triangle. And then finally, number 12, all 3 sides of the triangle are congruent, would be equilateral. All right. Next up, match the appropriate triangle classification. Write the correct letter in the appropriate blank, and you're only going to use each of these letters once. Okay, so let's look at this first one. This first one, we have 2 congruent tick marks, so that means 2 sides are congruent, but we also see that there are 2 congruent angles. Okay, so that tells us that this should be isosceles. What else should it be? There's another thing that can be. So let's look at the angles. These 3 angles are all less than 90. So we have 3 acute angles. So this would be acute isosceles, which is answer choice D. Number 14. Number 14, we see 2 congruent tick marks on the sides and 2 semicircles in the angles. That means we have two congruent sides and angles. That means we're dealing with another isosceles triangle. These two angles are acute, but look at this one, okay? Look at that one. Does it look like it's greater than 90 or less than 90? It's not 90 because we don't have a right angle mark. This one looks to be slightly larger than 90 degrees, which would make it obtuse. So this is an obtuse isosceles, which is answer choice C. Number 15. Number 15, look at your diagram here. Apologies for the spotty markings here, but look at your diagram. You don't have any congruency marks on either the angles or the sides. So that means that none of the sides are congruent, none of the angles are congruent, so you know it has to be scalene. But look here, your angles, are they all less than 90 degrees, or is one right or obtuse? Well, if we look here, we see this is less than 90, this is, and this is. So this is an acute scalene triangle, which is answer choice B. Number 16, we see here again that we have no congruency markings at all, so we know it has to be a scalene triangle. These two angles are acute, but this one here is obtuse. This is an obtuse one, so this is an obtuse scalene triangle, which is E. Number 17. Number 17, the first thing that sticks out immediately to us is this corner marking here that indicates we have a right angle. So we know it's a right triangle. Now let's look at the sides. Do we have any congruency markings for the sides or angles? And the answer is no, there are no tick marks. So this must be a right scalene triangle, which is F. Number 18, we see again, we have a right angle here, so we know it has to be right something. We have two congruent angles, two congruent sides, so that means we're dealing with a right isosceles triangle, which is G. And then finally, this has to be A, but let's look at why it is. If we look at our sides, we see there's three congruent tick marks on the sides. There's also three congruent angles, okay? So all three angles are congruent, all three sides are congruent. That means it has to be equilateral. And it says acute equilateral, but you know, every equilateral is going to be acute, okay? All right, let's get into the triangle inequality theorem. That's where most of this stuff is back here. So number one, it says, could the following be the lengths of the sides of a triangle? Write yes or no as your answer. So remember, all we have to do here is add the short side plus the short side and see if it's greater than the long side. Okay, so let's look at A. We have our two short sides are 7 and 9, so we're going to take 7 plus 9. 7 plus 9 gives us 16. Is 16 greater than 15? Yes, it is. So this is a triangle. That's all we have to do. B, we have 15, 15, and 3, our two shortest sides. We do have one of the same, so we'll just pick one of them. So 15 and 3. So 15 plus 3 is 18. Is 18 greater than 15? Yes, it is. So this is a triangle. If you're curious, this would be an isosceles because both of those side lengths are the same. C, 8, 10, and 19. We take 8 and 10 as our two short sides, add those together. That gives us 18. Is 18 greater than 19? No, so this is not a triangle. D, 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 2 are our short sides, so we take 1 plus 2, which gives us 3. Is 3 greater than 4? No, it is not. So it's not a triangle. E, we have 4, 8, and 12. 4 and 8 are our short sides, so 4 plus 8 is 12. Now, is 12 greater than 12? No. 12 is not greater than 12. It's equal to, but something being equal to is not greater. So this is not true. So this is not a triangle. And F, 3, 4, and 5. 3 and 4 are our shortest sides, which give us 7. Is 7 greater than 5? Yes. So this is a triangle. Okay. All right, number 2. Determine the range of the possible values for the third side of the triangle, given that 2 side lengths of the triangle are, and then it wants you to write your answer as a compound inequality, such as 3 less than x less than 5. So remember, in order to do this, you take your 2 numbers, a and b. You take a minus b less than x less than, and then a plus b. Okay? I always do a as my largest side and b as my smallest side. So let's look at a. We have 5 and 7. So we're going to take 7 and subtract 5, less than x, less than, and then we're going to do 7 plus 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. 7 plus 5 is 12. So x has to be between 2 inches and 12 inches. And that's it. That's how you find your range. So let's look at B. We have 1 centimeter and 7 centimeters. 1 centimeter, 7 centimeters. We take 7 and subtract 1. Take 7 and add 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. Less than x, which is less than, then we take 7 plus 1, which is 8. So our range is 6 is less than x, which is less than 8. C, 125 and 15. So we're going to take 125 and subtract 15. Then we're going to take 125 and add 15. 125 minus 15 is 110. 125 plus 15 is 140. D, we have 17 and 17. We take 17 and subtract 17. Then we take 17 and add 17. 17 minus 17 is 0. 17 plus 17 is 34. And then finally, E, 15 and 7. We take 15 minus 7. And then we take 15 plus 7. 15 minus 7 is 8. 15 plus 7 is 22. Okay? That's how you determine the range. All right, let's look at number 3. This is a problem that normally, the problem type that gives people the most problems. And I'm going to try and explain how to best do this, okay? So John was drawing a blueprint of a triangular floor and made these measurements for triangle DEF. DE must be, and then it gives you a set of options. Well, we're going to approach this like an ordering problem because we know that DE has to be some value within the range that we're talking about. But I'm going to do the ordering and I'll show you why. So I'm going to go ahead and put an X on DE because I don't know what it is, but I can put a placeholder value there. Now I want you to look here. We have 2 angles, angles E and angles F, but we don't have angle D. We need to find angle D to see where X falls in here. So let's find angle D. Remember that the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180. So that means that the measure of angle D is going to be equal to 180 minus these other 2 angles. Well, if we do that, we get the measure of angle D. 180 minus 78 gives us 102. 102 minus 68 is going to give us 102 minus 68 is going to give us, I might as well get my calculator. The brain is not operating peak efficiency right now. Should be 34. Let me make sure. Yeah, 34. So this is, measure of angle D is 34 degrees. Now, I'm going to label my sides from smallest to largest and do the same thing with my angles, okay? So I'm going to draw my arrows for the opposites. Now, your smallest angle here is 34. The side that's opposite 34 is this 15, okay? So I'm gonna list my angles from smallest to largest. So 34, 68, and then 78. So the side lengths that are opposite these, we said 15 was opposite 34, 68 is opposite X, and 78 is opposite 21. Now look, we know that the shortest side is 15, and we know that the longest side is 21. So X has to fall in between 15 and 21. So that means we have C as our answer. It can't be greater than 21 because 68 is not bigger than 78. And it can't be smaller than 15 because 68 is not smaller than 34. All right, let's look at number 4. Using the given triangle, what are the angles listed from smallest to largest? From smallest to largest, the angles. Well, we're given 3 side lengths. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw our arrows to the opposite sides. Remember that the opposite sides and opposite angles do not touch, right? C doesn't touch A and B. So if we look here, I'm going to list my sides from smallest to largest. So 10.9, 11.2, and 19.7. 10.9 is angle A, is opposite angle A, so angle A has to be our smallest. 11.2 is opposite angle C, and then 19.7 is opposite angle B. Number 15, or not number 15, number 5, excuse me. A triangle has 2 sides that have lengths of 25 centimeters and 12 centimeters. Which of the following lengths could not represent the length of the third side? So we're looking for one that would not be, would not make a triangle. Let's do our range, okay? There are 2 ways you can do this. I'm just gonna do the range, but you could just test each one of these and see if they would work with the 25 and 12, okay? So our range, remember we're gonna take these 2 numbers and subtract them. So 25 minus 12. Then we're going to take 25 plus 12. 25 minus 12 gives us 13. 25 plus 12 gives us 37. So X has to be between 13 and 37. So looking at these, 19 is between those 2 values. 30 is between those 2 values, and 15 is between those 2, but 13 is not. So 13 would not work. So that would be our answer. Number 6, which of the following can be the lengths of the sides of a triangle? So all you're going to do is do what we did in number 1 and test each of these options and see which one gives us a yes. So we're going to take the 2 shortest sides for each answer choice and add them together, see if they're bigger than the largest. So 7 plus 8 is 15, which is not greater than 20. B, 5, 7, and 9, 5 plus 7 gives us 12, which is indeed greater than 9. So B is likely our answer. I'm just going to show you that it is for sure. 12, 13, and 25, we take 12 plus 13 equal to 25. 25 is not greater than 25 though. And then D, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, which is not greater than 7. So B is the only one that can form a triangle. All right, let's look at number 7. Number 7 says in triangle QRS, QR equals 17, RS equals 13, and QS equals 5. Which of the following statements is true? Notice that each of these is about the angle measure. You don't have a triangle here. My recommendation is to draw the triangle out and label it with the correct things. So this is triangle QRS. QR is 17, RS is 13, and QS is 5. Well, Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and order these from least to greatest. You don't have to do that. You can just check each one. But I'm going to do that just to make it a little bit easier. So R is opposite 5, Q is opposite 13, and S is opposite 17. So that means our smallest to largest, 5 is our smallest side, which means angle R is our smallest angle. 13 is our next smallest side, which is opposite Q. And then the last one is angle S. So now let's look at each of our answer choices. A, the measure of angle Q is the least of the three angles. Well, is Q on the least part? No, it's right in the middle, so A is not true. Let's look at B. The measure of angle R is the greatest of the three angles. Well, R is in the least position, so that's not true. C, the measure of angle R is the least of the three. We already just said that. And then the measure of angle Q is the greatest. It's in the middle, so it can't be. All right, let's look at 8. 8 says using the given triangle, what are the sides listed from greatest to least? So our sides listed from greatest to least. We already have our three angle measures. And I have to tell you guys, do not look at how the triangle looks. You need to base it on the angle measures. Yes, I know this side looks the shortest, but I'm going to show you that with the angle measures we're given, it's not. Drawings are not always to scale. Never assume anything. Usually a good life lesson as well. So I'm going to draw my arrows to the opposite sides. 45 doesn't touch MN, 51 doesn't touch LN, and 84 doesn't touch LM. Now we're going to go from greatest to least. So I'm going to list out my angles from greatest to least first. So we have 84 degrees, then 51 degrees, then 45 degrees. 84 degrees is opposite LM. 51 degrees is opposite LN. And 45 degrees is opposite MN. Now you could also have these written out the opposite way. You could have ML, NL, NM. They mean the same exact thing. Number 9, Mary is putting up a fence around her triangular shaped property. Two sides of her property have lengths of 41 feet and 28 feet. Between which two numbers must the third side of the property fall? So this is a range problem. So we're going to take our two numbers, 41 and subtract 28. Then we're going to take 41 and add 28. 41 minus 28 is 13. 41 plus 28 is 69. Now, I want you to notice something here. A and C have the exact same numbers in them, but there's a key difference here. The key difference is that one of them has no equal to underneath the inequality and one does. Only pick the one that has the not equal to part, just less than, okay? That's how it is. Remember, these values on the edge cannot be equal to X. All right, number 10, given the image below, order the sides in triangle DFR from greatest to least. So we're looking at this triangle. Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out the missing angles so we can order it. So to find this angle, we need to be able to find this angle, because remember, these two here are vertical angles. They're vertical angles, which means they're congruent. Well, to determine this angle here, I have to take 180 and subtract 51 and 74. So 180 minus 51 minus 74 is 55 degrees, which means that this is 55 degrees. Now we need to find the measure of angle F. So we do it the exact same way we did here, just with these two angles. 180 minus 55 minus 37. And that gives us 88 degrees for angle F. I'm going to draw my arrows. Yes, I know this is getting crowded, but I do it for a good reason. And it wants us to list the sides in order from greatest to least. So the greatest angle is 88. The next one is 55, and 37 is our least. 88 degrees points to RD. 55 degrees points to DF. And 37 degrees points to RF. Okay. Number 11. Using the given triangle, what are the sides listed from smallest to largest? So again, what should stand out pretty quickly to you is this right angle here, which is 90 degrees. And then I'm going to draw my arrows because I already know all my side lengths, or angle lengths, excuse me, angle measures. So we're wanting to do the sides from smallest to largest. So our angles from smallest to largest are 27, 63, and 90. 27 degrees points to XZ. 63 degrees points to XY. And 90 degrees points to YZ. Okay, so again, the shortest angle is opposite, or the shortest side is opposite the smallest angle. The longest side is opposite the largest angle. Number 12, in triangle JKL, the measure of angle J is 78 degrees and the measure of angle L is 47 degrees. Which statements are correct? Select all correct answers below. So we only know two of the angles. We only know J and L. So to figure out the measure of angle K, we're going to have to take 180 and subtract 78 and 47. Well, when we do that, we get 180 minus 78 minus 47 is 55 degrees. And it'll be easier to do this problem if we draw a picture to visualize it. So I'm going to draw my JKL here. Angle J is 78 degrees. Angle L is 47. And angle K is 55. Draw my arrows. $78. So I'm going to order these from least to greatest just because it's habit at this point. Although you can go ahead and answer these once you have that triangle drawn. So your least angle is 47, which is opposite JK. 55 is opposite JL. And the greatest 78 is opposite KL. So now we look and see which one we have. Now, this says JK is the shortest side. Is JK the shortest side? Yes, it is. KL is the longest side. Is KL the longest side? Yes, it is. KL is the shortest. Well, it's the longest, so it can't be the shortest. JL is the shortest. It's in the middle. JK is the longest. It's the least. And JL is the longest. It's in the middle. Okay? So make sure you pay attention to what it wants. If it just wants the shortest and longest sides, it's never going to ask about the middle one. All right, let's look at number 13. Number 13 says, consider the image of triangle ABC below. Which of the following is a true statement? I'm always going to just tell you to draw your arrows, list them, and then compare them based on that list. So I'm going to go from least to greatest again. So least, our least angle here, angle A points to 75. C points to 102. And B points to 118. So that's from least to greatest. Okay? So let's compare it to each one of these. A says the measure of angle B is less than the measure of angle C. Well, according to our list, B should be greater than C. So A doesn't work. B, the measure of angle C is greater than the measure of angle A. Well, here angle C is ahead of angle A, which we said was the least. So that would be true. C should be greater than A. Let's look at C and D just to make sure. The measure of angle A is greater than the measure of angle B. Well, A is the least and B is the greatest, so that's not true. And then D, the measure of angle C is less than the measure of angle A. C is not less than A. Number 14, in triangle MNO, the measure of angle M is 30 degrees, the measure of angle N equals 70 degrees, and the measure of angle O equals 80 degrees. List the sides in order from shortest to longest. Again, what you're going to want to do, draw that triangle. It's easier to visualize. Angle M is 30 degrees, N is 70, and O is 80. Drawing our arrows. So we want our shortest to longest here. The smallest angle is 30 degrees. The next one is 70, and the next one is 80. Our 30-degree angle is opposite NO. Our 70-degree angle is opposite MO. And our 80-degree angle is opposite MN. All right, number 15. Jim is creating a birdhouse with a triangular floor for shop class. He needs to pick 3 pieces of wood to use for the project. Of the options below, which 3 lengths of wood would create a triangle? So all you're doing here is testing each one to see if they would create a triangle. So we're going to take the shortest 2 sides and add them together. So in A, it's 7 plus 5, which is 12. And then we're seeing if it's greater than the 3rd side. Is 12 greater than 12? No, so this is not a triangle. Let's look at B. B says 3, 4, and 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. Is 7 greater than 8? No, so it's not a triangle either. C says 6, 8, and 10. We take 6 and 8, add them together, and that gives us 14. Is 14 greater than 10? Yes. So C is our answer, but just to show you that D wouldn't work either. 4 plus 2 is 6, which is not greater than 7. Number 16, determine which of the following lengths of sides would not form a triangle. Would not form a triangle. Select all correct answers. So in this one, you're determining which ones do not form a triangle. So if you do your inequality and put X's, that's going to be an answer that you choose because it wants the ones that are not a triangle. So let's look at the first one here. We have 2 plus 5, which is equal to 7. Is 7 greater than 7? No. So this would be an answer because it doesn't form a triangle. All right, next one, 4, 8, and 11. 4 plus 8 is 12, which is greater than 11, which is a triangle, so that's not an answer. 7, 7, and 0.5, so we take 7 plus 0.5, which is 7.5, which is greater than 7, so that's not an answer either. Next one, 0.8 plus 0.7 is 1.5. 1.5 is not greater than 1.6, so this is not a triangle, which is an answer. 10, 7, and 8. 7 plus 8 is 15, which is greater than 10, so it is a triangle. And then 6, 17, and 22. 6 plus 17 is 23, which is greater than 22. Number 17. Number 17 says 2 sides of a triangle measure 15 meters and 7 meters. Which of the following could be the measures of the 3rd side? Select all possible side lengths. So we're going to do our range. So we're going to take the 2 numbers and subtract them. So 15 minus 7, less than X, which is less than, then we take 15 and add 7. 15 minus 7 is 8. 15 plus 7 is 22. So now we look at our choices here and select all the ones that fall in between 8 and 22. Well, 8 is equal to 8, but it's not between 8 and 22, so that's not an answer choice. 2 is less than 8, so it's not between 8 and 22. 23 is not in between 8 and 22. 21 is between 8 and 22. 22 is equal to 22, but not in between. And 11 is in between 8 and 22. So the only ones we have marked are 21 and 11. Number 18. Using the given triangle, what are the angles listed from greatest to least? We're going to draw our arrows. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to list my sides from greatest to least, and then write down the ones that are opposite. So greatest side is 10, then 8, then 7. The angle pointing to 10 is angle P. The angle pointing to 8 is angle Q. And the angle pointing to 7 is angle R. So our answer should be angle P, angle Q, angle R. All right, last two. Number 19, determine the value of the missing angle X. So number 19, we have 59 and 71 here, and we want to determine X. Well, notice that X, these two angles form a linear pair. So if I figure out this angle here, then I can figure out what X is. Well, 59 and 71 and this angle here make up a triangle, which should be equal to 180. So this angle here, 180 minus 59 minus 71. So that gives us 50 degrees. No, excuse me, sorry. No, it does give us 50 degrees. I'm reading it wrong. So this one here is 50 degrees. Remember that linear pairs are supplementary. So that means that X is equal to 180 minus 50 degrees, which is 130 degrees. Number 20, we want to determine the values of X and Y here. If you notice here, we have a bunch of exterior angles. Well, these exterior angles make linear pairs. So we can determine these two angles and then figure out what X and Y are. Okay. So this angle here is 180 minus 88, which is 92 degrees. This angle here is 180 minus 142, which is 38 degrees. X, 92 and 38 would make 180. So X has to equal 180 minus 92 minus 38, which gives us 50 as X. And then Y and X form a linear pair. So that means Y is equal to 180 minus 50, which is 130. And that does it for this test review answer video, guys. I hope this video helped you as you prepare for the test. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and make sure that you have done the graded assignment for the basic triangles, because that has questions that are also similar to this. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.